Morning everybody, Mutton here. It's time for the week 9 weigh-in and blood sugar test. Week 9 has passed, and I hope the next 3 weeks in my almost punitive last month on the Newcastle Diet will pass as quickly. But before we get on to the weigh-in, if you remember during the first video I showed you all the medicine I was taking, my little smorgasbord of tablets as it were. Well, I've reduced the amount I'm taking, particularly in terms of diabetic medicine, but one thing I didn't tell you about was my sleep apnea machine. So, for those unfamiliar, this is called a CPAP machine. CPAP stands for continuous positive air pressure, and it's used to relieve obstructive sleep apnea. There's a button there for getting it to the home page, power, and that to twiddle around the various functions, and a water tank because your mouth gets pretty dry when you're using this. And the most important thing, the mask, which forces air down one's throat, which means that you don't keep waking up and stopping breathing and snoring and all the rest of the unpleasant and dangerous things that I used to do for years and years. I kind of knew I had it and took a long time to get it sorted out. Probably those who had to wear World War II gas masks are familiar with this sort of drill. Let me just show you how it... There we are, a real romance killer. And those that know me personally will know that this problem, apart from it being unpleasant to be in the same room at night or the next room, know that it caused me to lose my driving licence, which I'm on course to have regained because I've been using this thoroughly. It takes a while to get used to it, but fingers crossed in the next month or two I'll have got my licence back. Anyway, enough of that. The main event, the weigh-in and the blood sugar test. Let's do it. As always, I know as little as you do about what this figure's going to be, other than, of course, exactly what I've consumed during the last week. Okie dokie, 113.0. Okay, time for the blood sugar test now. That's really rather low. Well, it's perfectly acceptable, but the lowest reading I've had. Okay, I'll look at these scores on the doors over my delicious breakfast. This is all I have other than a couple of coffees. White chocolate and raspberry. I'm afraid they're all sweet, so it's whatever sweet flavour I pick out. Anyway, my starting weight, if you remember, was 130 kilos. Last week I was on 114.6, and I've gone down to 113, 1.6 kilos. It's okay. I've had better weeks. I've had a couple of worse weeks. If I carry on like this for the last 3 weeks, I'll be easily under the 15% weight loss threshold. And that, if you remember, doesn't even include the first 2 weeks of low carb. BMI, going in the right direction, was 39.8 last week, down to 39.1. Obviously, ages and ages, months and months, even maybe years before it gets down to even overweight. And then blood sugar, well, that's been fluctuating quite wildly, but all within the acceptable range, from 17.9 originally, which was completely unacceptable, but last week 5.7, and this week 4.8. As long as it's within the range of 4 to 6, I don't care, that's fine, and presumably it's affected by what time I last consumed anything the night before, last tea or coffee or whatever it was, or when I get up. I can assure you, when I take the weigh-in and test, I always do it before I eat anything during the day. This shake, this delicious shake, is the first thing I've had. Okay, so I'll see you next week for the week 10 weigh-in. Maybe I'll do another little vlog if I'm fortunate enough to get the weather to go out in earlier in the week. But until then, bye for now. I'm going to sign off. Please don't forget, as usual, to like, share and subscribe. It all matters and will help me to take you to more interesting places. Hopefully, if the lockdown is removed, both in the UK and internationally. See you next week for the week 10 weigh-in and blood sugar test. And don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.